Hey everybody, welcome to Sheet Metal Unleashed, the podcast, and you can catch us on YouTube as well, and also Apple, Spotify, Podbean, and thank you for being a part of this. I've got a great guest with us tonight. It's going to be Dan Diamond with AKS Cutting Systems. He has a wealth of knowledge on plasma cutting, and he has a rich background in this stuff. So, without further ado, let's get him on and get this show going. Hey Dan, how are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. So, look, you're the first guy on the podcast. That's something, man. That's special.
It's an honor.
So, yeah, man, awesome. It's good to have you on here, and I wanted to have you on here to speak to everybody. And this is just a casual podcast. This podcast I started because I just want stuff around sheet metal and fabrication and help the industry, even get younger guys into this business. I think it's a good start. So tell us about your background and how did you get into doing this kind of CNC plasmas, tech service, stuff like that?
Absolutely. So my father was actually a CNC CAD CAM professor at the college I went to in Ohio 20 plus years ago now. But he taught it. And throughout my whole life, I remember when I was a little kid, from the time, as early as I can remember, my dad had one of the big, massive drafting boards that you could tilt up. And he had all laid out, the old way we used to do it. And he had
the T-square.
With the T-square, exactly, Dean. And I remember playing with that, and he would teach me how to do blueprints and layouts and things like that from the time I was able to even walk around and understand. I remember always playing with that table. And so fast forward a little bit, with his background, I went to college, of course, and I took all his classes. Throughout that entire time, he taught me woodworking and measuring and tolerances and just building something that is of top quality. And so I'm in college. I took all his courses. I learned how to use bridge ports, manual lathes, everything from micrometers to vernier height gauges. I learned everything through my dad. And as they say, that apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So I got into welding on that side as well. And I was a welder for a little while. And then fast forward a little more, I was doing high pressure stainless steel TIG welding as well as the machinist for this shop. And I was using their Bridgeport and their lathe, and I was welding stuff. And after that, long story a little longer, AKS approached me and said, we think you'd make a pretty good service tech. And so I onboarded with AKS about 13 years ago. I was a service tech. Yeah, it's been a long time, actually. I was a service tech for them, a field service tech. So I traveled all around the country, and I did everything from installs to software training to new machine installs to old machine teardowns and retrofits, anything to do with the system. I had my hands on it. And I did that for just over a decade. So just over 10 years I did that. Saw all 50 states besides Hawaii and Alaska. And after a while, they were like, you're pretty good at that service stuff. You should try selling these things. And so here I am. I'm now a regional manager for the company, for AKS. And I've been in that position for about 3 years, a little more than 3 years now. And, we're gassed up and cooking along now. So, that's really how it came to be in a short manner, I guess I'd say. Started from a little kid with my dad's drafting table, went to school for it, and now here I am.
So you've been the regional sales manager for you just cover the whole Southeast, correct?
Correct. So I cover 8 states for the company. So I cover everything basically from Mississippi to Virginia. If you drew a diagonal line in between those two, and south. So it's about those 8 states.
Okay. Nice. And so what I already know because I work with BluTec Machinery as my day job, and I'm a Hollywood star at nighttime, right? But what if you could tell our guests and people, because we'll probably have people from all over the world watching this podcast as well. But what kind of machines do you offer, and who are they designed for?
Right. So we offer 2 lines of products, water jets and plasma. And we've got a couple other things. AKS is actually a very large machine shop, and we do work outside the scope of building machinery. We do a lot of work like Energizer battery and things like that. But the machinery, the equipment that we actually produce and manufacture are water jets and plasmas. And those water jets and plasmas are literally designed and built to order. So we have them everywhere from a barn in the middle of Pennsylvania that's on a little cement pad that the guy poured himself, all the way up to companies like SpaceX building rocket ships and things like that, and everything in between that. So we are actually a family-owned business, and because of that, we cater to almost everybody, from the smallest scale of production to the largest, most immense production that you can think of.
Yeah. And I think I met Kent and Chris and all them at FabTech last year as well.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know FabTech, well, most of you all know FabTech is a big show that happens in the US. It changes in different locations and areas, so it'll be in Chicago this year. So I look forward to seeing everybody. And so Dan, I just want to look at some of the machines and features here, and just wanted to see what would set the AKS apart from another machine, a typical machine, something. You've seen a lot of machines out there. I've seen a lot of machines. We know what's out there, right? Right. But what would put AKS above some of these other ones?
So AKS, the thing I say the most often is when you purchase an AKS, you're not just a number to our company. Being a family-owned company, it is immensely important to us as a company to understand you as a person and your actual needs. And that alone goes a very long way with every type of customer there is. Whether you're a small guy with your one-man army shop, you're just as important to us as the guy that's, got 40 employees under him and he's got 3, 4, 5 machines and all that stuff. We don't have double cell phones. None of the guys, even the service techs, none of us have double cell phones. All of us have a single cell phone. And when you call us, you're calling us on what is pretty much our personal phone. You're able to reach the president. You're able to talk to the actual ownership of the company. It's 4th generation family now. And that in itself is one of the most important things to people, because we can bring them in and you know right where your investment is going. That's on the family and employment side. On the machine quality side, that I could talk to you. I could talk to you until the sun went down on that. AKS builds what we call, the best in the business in terms of plasmas and water jets. Both of them are built to a machine tool standard, and everything is milled in-house. It's painted in-house. Everything is hand fit, hand assembled. We have no robots doing anything. It's all literally man-made right in America, American-made, as they say. And it's that quality standard that we uphold ourselves to that really sets us apart from the competition and the other ones out there. The machines weigh much more than other comparable brands and things like that. It's just the build quality. So we've over-engineered them to a point to where maybe we almost build them a little too well, because you buy one and you typically never, if you only need one, you never replace the table. You never replace the portion that AKS actually manufactures and produces. You'll upgrade the technology in it, the actual like computer portions and things like that. But the table itself, we have tables out there even now that are 30 plus years old and still operating, still cutting parts as I talk to you right now.
And they're probably running the old HPR system, stuff like that,
even
the outdated technology.
Exactly. And some of those customers have done exactly what I'm describing, where they've kept the table. The table still holds the tolerance that it had 30 years ago, and they simply replace the HPRs with new XPR systems, new software, just upgrade that portion of it because they made the investment in the table. Now they make a much smaller investment in the future, and they upgrade to higher quality cuts, better precision, and capabilities like that.
Can you walk us through like the design process, right? Like from when a customer talks to you, hey, I want this. How do I get this? Do I do a water table? What's that from concept to finish?
Right. So that's where a customer will call us and they say, most of the time it's very vague. I'm interested in plasma. And that's where we dive into what you're asking. Okay, what kind of material are you cutting most? What's the thickness of the material? What range are you cutting? How important is it that you cut it fast versus cut it very high tolerance? Are you welding these parts together? All those questions come into play when we start to dive into what a customer needs, because AKS is built around supplying a customer everything they need and nothing they really don't. So we've got all the bells and whistles. We've got we've got drills that we could put on these things. We've got bevel heads that's kind of our claim to fame, the bevel head, lots of stuff like that. And so when a customer calls us and they say, okay, I need a plasma, that's where we start asking all the questions. Are you space limited? If they're space limited, that's where the water table comes into play. Maybe they are only cutting base plates and they don't have a need for super high tolerant cuts. And it's like, okay, you can get away with a standard definition, save a bunch of money, put it on a water table and put what's called a Max Pro 200 on it and cut 1-inch base plates all day at the fraction of a cost of what would cost a high definition system and all those features that you probably don't need when you're cutting simple parts. So it's really about finding out what the customer is doing and really what they're cutting and what their needs truly are out of a system. And we design that system around the answers they give us. If they're not space limited, that's where we recommend downdraft. And really water tables, you mentioned those specific, that's why I'm saying this. Water tables really you're seeing those kind of fade away into obscurity because the quality of cut that you're getting from plasma nowadays is so far and beyond what it used to be that water actually hinders your cut quality that you're now getting out of these systems. And because of that, we often tell people this and we hand them a sample part and they go, wow, this was cut on a plasma. And you say, I promise you it was cut on a plasma, because they almost sometimes don't believe it because they can pull that part right out of the plate and they look at it and they go, this is perfectly clean. What'd you do to clean the bottom of this? We didn't do anything. That's just how it cuts nowadays. They're like, holy.
Yeah, some of the parts, amazing. Yep. You get into that thicker stuff, that thicker plate, man, crazy. What the I think it's the new what's that? The 460.
460, yeah. That 460
XPR 460.
We used to call them it's like the V8 syndrome, where it's like, you don't go to the dealership. I've never had anybody go to the dealership, buy a V6 truck. Excuse me, let me start this over. Nobody goes to the factory, buys a V8 truck, and then comes back and says, I wish I would have bought the V6. Nobody ever says that. That's now, you're starting to see that with the 460. because we had the 300 for several years, the XPR 300. And the 300 with the correct gas console could pierce 2-inch mild steel. And now with the 460, you're piercing 2.5-inch mild steel as well as everything below that. And the 460 really starts to shine on non-ferrous material where it can shoot through 3-inch stainless steel, 4-inch aluminum. It is wild what that do.
That is crazy, because I remember I was running a plasma years ago, and just to cut thick stuff, you know.
You used to have to start on the edge. You'd fire it on the edge, and you'd have to come in. Now they're just punching through it.
Yeah, because I cut 2-inch plate, but my machine was so old and a bit worn. I had a rod coming out with a little end on the end, and you had to turn it to go up and down over some of the sheets, right? Because, well, not so bad on the thicker plate, but we also ran some thinner sheets on that thing. And yeah, I'm like, man. How does this may be better for another podcast for Chris anyway. But what features do you decide to put on that are included on the AKS when you guys are coming up with new machines, adding new technology? What decides that? How do you guys decide that?
I can answer that, no problem. So the way it works is AKS is one of the few that Hypertherm dictates as what's called a sure cut OEM. And what that means is from bumper to bumper, it's Hypertherm everything. There's no proprietary parts. There's no third-party software, none of that stuff. We use everything Hypertherm offers in a sense for plasma cutting to get that sure cut OEM status. What that sure cut OEM status means is that the parts we give you and the tolerance Hypertherm advertises is exactly, if not better, than what you're going to get. And most other companies offering Hypertherm, it's usually just a piece or two of it. So the power supply and maybe the leads and things like that. For us, it's the power supply, the lifter, the software, the leads, everything combined all together, bumper to bumper Hypertherm. That's what gives us the advantage with that sure cut OEM status. And that's one of the things that on all systems is standard across the board. When we're designing a new system, we make sure that system is going to have all those pieces, parts, because everybody that does have an AKS knows, you know, we have some of the best, if not the best cut quality in the business. And because of that, we're able to do things even that Hypertherm doesn't even advertise themselves. And I'm sure we'll get into this later, but for example, that 1/2-to-1 ratio that we like to advertise as much as we can. You know, we're the only OEM out there that can put a 1/2-inch hole in a 1-inch plate, and even up from there. You know, we could put a 1-inch hole in a 2-inch plate, and with no secondary operation, you could take your bolt and put it in your hole without any need for drilling or reaming it out, none of that stuff. And so that's immensely advantageous to companies that have a lot of holes, cutting a lot of plates, doing a lot of stuff like that, because they're doubled up on the processes currently where they're cutting the part. They have to then take the part over to a mill. They've got to mill that part out, drill all their holes. And if they can, and they find out about the 1/2-to-1 ratio, they put that thing up there, and now it's all one process. They pull the part out and it's ready to go. That's really beneficial to guys cutting lots of holes, lots of pieces, parts like that.
What? Now, I probably should know this, right? But oxy-fuel.
Yep.
Are you seeing much oxy-fuel now, or are people just sort of doing plasma? Because I remember oxy-fuel, we're using, you know, back in the day, you're cutting up to 8-inch thick plate. I don't know who's doing that sort of stuff anymore with oxy-fuel.
So You do still see it, but it is actually getting a little more rare. Not as often as we used to see. Oxy-fuel is one of those things that if you have a need for it, you get it. And you know you have a need for it because you understand the part that you're cutting, and it's exactly what you said. Guys that are cutting carbon steel and armor, AR 500, all those things that are like over 3, 4, 5 inches, that's the guys that get that Oxy-fuel. There's no way of getting around it. Water jet is way slower. Some places will opt for a water jet, but you could just put an Oxy-fuel on your plasma system and get the same thing if you're not worried about the heat affection. And it goes way faster.
On a water jet, I think you just sooner let it run and go home for 8 hours and come back the next day.
Even then, you're coming back and it's probably still not cutting out because it is at 5 inches. I mean, your water jet, even at 90,000, we make water jets. So even at 90,000 PSI, you're going to go maybe a quarter inch a minute. Meanwhile, with an Oxy-fuel, you're going to go a few inches a minute. And when you're talking about plate that heavy, that's immensely faster, like much faster.
Here's look. I've put a list of questions you all together for Dan. So I can't remember these. So if you see me looking down, you probably know that I'm trying to read. I'm getting a little bit older. So, but what are the common misconceptions that some customers may have when they're buying their first CNC plasma or going from an older system, and where customers have got the old HRP and trying to upgrade and get into an XRP system because they're still cutting that thick, heavy stuff.
Yep. So the most common thing I run into are the guys that have been in this industry for a really long time, and they have the 20-plus-year-old plasma system, and there's a stigma about plasma in those types of shops that have been around for a long time. They've got old equipment inside, and they've just been running and gunning on those old pieces of equipment. And they were new at some point, and that was like the newest technology back then. But you fast forward 20 years, and they still have that piece of equipment. They've developed this stigma about plasma that it's dirty, lots of slag. You're gonna get really angular cuts. They're not going to be straight, and that's where people don't often. When I go into shops like that, and I take cut samples of like quarter inch, 1 inch, even inch and a half, 2 inch, and I hand them the part, and they go, the first thing they say every time is, "This was cut on a plasma," and you say yes, and they go, "No way." And then you show them, it's like, I promise you it's cut on a plasma. Because at the end of the day, that torch isn't doing anything unless it's moving. It's just a torch. It's just an arc. And we like to say that Hypertherm has made the best torch in the business, the best plasma torch in the business. And the technology behind that has advanced so far. It's like your cars. If you look at a car that's 25 years old, 20 years old versus a brand new car, the technology inside of them is so vastly different. It's uncomparable. And that stigma of like, you're not going to go buy a new car and expect it to run like your 20-year-old car. That's the same thing with plasma nowadays. You can't expect that the new plasma is going to be just like your 20-year-old one. It's just not. It's going to be considerably better. The old plasmas used to just be straight up air. And if you were lucky, you had an oxygen as well, air and oxygen. Nowadays, you have air, oxygen, you've got nitrogen, you have F5 gas, which is 5% hydrogen, 95% nitrogen. You have a pure hydrogen line. Hell, you've even got a water line now running into your plasma for non-ferrous cutting that uses a water for and some of your customers even have it. They use that for their shield gas essentially. And that takes your aluminum and stainless steel cutting to another dimension when you're talking plasma cutting. So that's the biggest thing. You walk in and people kind of snub their nose at plasma when they're used to their, old plasma and they haven't seen what a brand new one with all the technology behind it. They just don't know what it can do. And you start showing them and you kind of get them to realize like, maybe I'm not up to date on my technology when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. No, it's it's remarkable what you can do with all this new stuff. So I'm gonna jump into another question here. I've got it. I can see it, guys. It's right here. So, you know, on YouTube here, or I have the YouTube and I record and I show some software for hobbyists, makers, fabricators. A typical, what does a typical customer look like for AKS? I mean, you've seen some hobbyist machines out there and stuff like that. So, what some of your customers look like? A typical customer for AKS?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a typical customer for AKS, it's kind of a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
On average, a customer for us is going to be not a massive conglomerate corporation type company, and not a guy in a garage. While we have both of those as customers, I'd say those make up for maybe 25-30% of our customer base. And then the middle of all of that, and it may even be like, it's not half, but it may be getting close to it. But I'd say the majority of customers are that in between, not a guy in his garage, not a massive corporation, but a company, a company who's making a part, making a product, producing a finished product. Like, we do an immense amount of trailers and truck bodies and armor for trucks and things like that. So larger companies are our typical customer, guys that are making, their architectural staircases and architectural steel products, a lot of that stuff, structural steel products, just steel processing centers. Those are the ones we see approaching us the most often, because we're able to build, we build massively heavy equipment designed to take abuse, designed to be in a plasma environment where you're not in a garage and you're not putting just thin little pieces of metal on it. You're putting massive, 10-foot wide, 20-foot long pieces of steel on these things and running them into, for 2 hours and pulling all your parts off and pulling the skeleton off and going right to the next one. It's those types of companies that we see. And some of them are job shops, and some of them have a finished product that they're producing. But the average customer is that I'd say 20 to 60 employees, and they've got a fairly large product line or scale that they're working on.
Yeah, but you guys have you guys have come out with a machine,
The plasmatic.
the plasmatic that is more guided to help the smaller shops. Like if I had a small shop and I was 1 or 2 man shop, you have that kind of equipment as well.
Absolutely. I was just talking to a gentleman tonight, prior to this. He's at his house. He's got a small steel building 2 feet outside of his home. He walks out his front door and he walks right down to his steel metal building, and he makes spiral staircases. He makes timber, like how do I put this? Like structural timber reinforcement gusset plates and supports like that. He makes fences and he makes gates, ornamental like fences and gates. And he's just a one-man band with a forklift, a small little Hypertherm 85 right now, and he wants to take a step up. He wants to step up to something a little larger with a little more beef behind it, and a little more power behind it, so he can process, heavier plate and get quality out of it. Because everybody nowadays it's slowly, like I was just mentioning, it's slowly starting to come around where people are understanding that plasma is not what it used to be. You could take a part out of after a plasma cut and just weld it. You don't need to prep it. You don't need to clean it. You don't need to do any of that. And so people want to get into that because of the massive time savings. So that plasmatic product is for guys we call it our entry, or well, not even entry. We call it a light industrial table, and it's designed for guys that are doing light industrial work. They don't need to cut 2-3 inch material. They're cutting, like maybe 1 inch and down, and even 1 inch is heavy for some guys. But that stuff can go down to gauge material, like thin stuff, and that's the product line we've introduced to those smaller shops, maybe 1-man, 2-man armies, so that it's happened already. They buy that first plasmatic system, kind of a basic machine, just straight cutting and things like that. And then all of a sudden they realize the growth that comes with. And so they go right from a plasmatic, and in a few years they're like, I need a bigger one. I need to be able to do more. I need a bigger machine now because I've got all this work coming in because of what this plasmatics provided my customers. And that grows them from the plasmatic to maybe what we call Plasmatic Pro, and then it steps them into even like an AccuCut or a DuraCut, which is that's our bread and butter, is those big AccuCuts and DuraCuts.
Now I can answer this one, but how do you? But I'm going to let you answer it.
I hope so. We work together.
Yeah. How do you support customers and after sales training, tech support, updates? I know you guys do a phenomenal job on the support. I know that firsthand. So, but shed some light on that for everybody listening to the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So the service and support, that ties back to family owned. We have a very vested interest in making sure that our customers are very well supported and taken care of, because it comes back to, we're not trying to be the biggest, baddest company out there. We're trying to be the best company out there. And anybody can sell you a plasma table or a water jet. Anybody can. It's how it is supported afterwards that truly matters. And I lean on my service background immensely when it comes for that. Customers who purchase for me, I always tell them, remember, I was a service tech for over 10 years. If you have a problem, a question, a concern, anything about programming, about the machine quality, about anything to do with service, call me first and let me know. I'll be able to support you. A lot of our sales reps, our sales representatives, regional managers, if you will, are the same way. They want you to call them first, and half the time they're going to be able to get you the answers you need without you even having to lift a finger, without you having to call into service and get the information from them. Half the time we can give it right to you ourselves because we have the answers. It's all of us are trained in that sense. All of us have a background in it. Me a little more heavy or so, but that service comes not just from the sales team, but then again, it does come to our service team as well. So being from service, I can tell you every single service tech that we have and we employ is a one-man army when it comes to support. They all have a single cell phone. The card that they hand you is their cell phone number. So if you call them, you're ringing in their pocket just like you would be with me. We have lifetime phone support when it comes to purchasing an AKS machine. So it doesn't matter how long it's been, how old it is. If you call us, we're going to support you, give you answers, give you service right over the phone at no cost. Even if you bought it used, we honor that. If you buy a used AKS system, AKS takes a lot of pride in our product. And if you call us, we're not going to tell you, well, you didn't buy it from us, so you got to call the guy you bought it from and he can help. It's not how we do business. That's not how we support. That's not how we support.
I hate that. I know there's a few people like that. It's like that same thing. If you buy a Toyota, you should be able to take it to a Toyota dealership anywhere and it gets service. Not, hey, you brought it at Joe Smith.
Yep.
Only Joe Smith can support it, right?
And on the other side, it's not just AKS techs that you have access to. Most of our dealers have a service, some type of service as well. And we bring those service techs from those dealers up to Cleveland, Ohio, where we manufacture this stuff, and we certify them on all AKS products. So not only do you have AKS tech service, you also have your dealer's tech service if you purchase it from a dealer that maybe you're friends with or that you've had a relationship with for a very long time. All of their techs are certified to work on AKS products, know how the product runs, know how to support it just as much, if not maybe some of them maybe even more than we do, because they've been around for so long. And they know the older stuff maybe. That level of support is everything, because again, anybody can sell you a water jet or a plasma. It's the support we provide you after that really sets us apart from everybody else, and gives you the advantage and the peace of mind knowing that, I'm going to make this investment into this company and they're going to support me on it 110%.
Yeah. Okay. Have you had any customers surprise you that build something that really surprises the hell out of you?
Yeah. So there's several that come to mind. I had two in particular. One stands out more than any. And it wasn't so much a product as much as it was who it was. I'll give you a quick story about the both of them. The one that surprised me the most about who purchased this machine, it was for a customer of ours in South Dakota. And I'm driving. Well, let me start that over. It's a customer in South Dakota, and I land in the airport, and I go to get my rental car. And, the rental agent behind the counter asked me, he's like, "Oh, where are you going?" And I tell her where I'm headed in South Dakota. And he looks me in the eyes and he says, "You can't take this car." And I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You'll never make it." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You can't take a front wheel drive car. You actually need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get there." I was like, "You're joking." He goes, I promise you." He's like, "If you don't need it, you can bring it back and the whole rental's free." He's like, he told me, he's like, "I'm the manager here." And he's like, "I promise you, you need a 4-wheel drive car." I said, "Okay." And he gave me a Jeep. And so sure enough, I'm driving out and those roads turned into dirt roads. It turned into an 80,000 acre farm. And it was a colony of Hutterites, and it was a life-changing experience for me. It was like going to another country, and it showed me it taught me a lot about myself, how much we truly take for granted in life, because they live a very simple life. I would sit in the big boss's house every morning and have breakfast with him and his family. They would sing German biblical hymns every morning as a family. We would eat lunch in the big, massive food hall. Men would eat on one side, women would eat on the other side. The kids would eat after the adults. The women made all the food and made all the clothes, and the men were hardened farmers, some of the toughest dudes I've ever met in my life, and just the absolute epitome of if you work hard, you're going to have a very good life. And they had some of the most incredible food, incredible camaraderie. It was a life-changing experience. So that one was I'd say the most surprising, because you'd never in a million years, you have to drive hours to get to it. And you see, it's just like I explained, it's a AKS plasma system sitting in a big old steel barn in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota. And you drive right by it, and never in a million years would you suspect that's in that building. That was the most surprising in terms of person. I'd say product-wise, I flew out to Arizona, and I had no idea what they were doing, no idea what they were making. I was just there to install a system. And when I get there, I walk in to the front of the building, and it's right next to the airport. And I walk into the building, and I realized this place is pretty big. And I didn't realize just how big it was. Every single employee had a tricycle with a basket on the back of it so that they could pedal to their workstation and carry all their gear and stuff with them. It was immensely huge. It was one of the, probably to this day, still the biggest building I've ever stood in. And they were creating Hellfire missiles, I come to find out. So they were actually making missiles and using the AKS to cut pieces and parts out of the aluminum for their product. And this place, when I tell you, Dean, it was massive. I had to call my contact there, and I told him I told him I have no idea where to go. He laughs and he says, "Look at one of the pillars. What's the letters and numbers on the pillars?" And I told him, he's like, "All right, I'll be there in 15 minutes." And I was like, "Oh, you busy?" He goes, "No, it's just going to take me that long to get over there." It's like, oh my goodness. So here he comes on a golf cart, picks me up, and drives me to where the machine was. And you had no idea what they were making. I had to ask around to find out. It was kind of like a hush hush, kind of a thing. But yeah, they were building. They were like basically a defense contractor for the government, and so they were building quite a bit of stuff inside there.
I've been I worked in a shop, and we made some hush hush projects, and we actually hung a curtain and signed a piece of paper that we wouldn't say to the other guys on the other side of the curtain what was behind it. That's top secret.
I believe that.
But oh man, simple things. So software and integration. Now I can pretty much answer this question, right? Everybody uses they buy AKS. They usually go ahead and get the ProNest software. Pretty decent software. I actually kind of enjoy it. I've got customers who have it for AKS, but they also use it for their Mitsubishi Laser and other equipment as well. It's pretty good. But on the software, can other people, like, you know me, I've been a RADAN poster boy for a long time.
I do, yeah, I know that.
I can run an AKS with RADAN CAD CAM, or maybe if I had SigmaNest, I could use SigmaNest to run that machine, no problems. Maybe except for the bevel, because you use a different software for the bevel.
No, it's all through ProNest. It's all through ProNest.
Okay.
That's what gives us the ability. We have custom macros and things like that give us an advantage, and it is strictly ProNest when it comes to AKS and our cut quality and parts. So ProNest.
Okay.
I mean, it used to be its own product, and then years and years ago, Hypertherm bought them, and now it's a part of Hypertherm CAM. ProNest is actually developed and manufactured and produced and updated and all that through Hypertherm, their CAM department. And because of that, that's what dials back to that SureCut OEM that I was talking about. Without ProNest, you get no guarantees from
Yeah. Because you're not going to get that
exactly
up to 1 inch hole without ProNest.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. It has to be with ProNest. So
and that's the same with True Hole technology.
Yep.
You don't get that unless you're using the ProNest.
Right.
With True Hole.
Some people will claim it, others will claim that they have it, but it is absolutely not the same.
Because it's proprietary to Hypertherm. No one can, if they're calling it something like that, they'll probably be in trouble. So watch out for you.
Absolutely.
But so yeah, that actually answered both my questions there. And you can quickly answer this one. This is easy. This is we all know this one, but are there automation options like height control, material handling that you're seeing more demand for, especially material handling?
Yes. So absolutely. So we're starting to see an influx in customers wanting automated material handling, whether that's a shuttle table, things of that sort. We're starting to see that. So we're starting to partner with specific manufacturers to supply those solutions to our customer base. Now that goes to say that's for the big players in the game. the big, massive companies. We've got a few out there that have a bunch of our equipment, a bunch of our tables, and they're starting to ask us, we would like to see some kind of automated material handling on your tables. And because of that's kind of brand new, that we're starting to see that request, because it used to be you just buy a bigger table. You just buy, instead of a 24-foot, you get a 36-foot or a 48.
And 2 or 3 sheets on it.
Right. You throw 2 or 3 sheets on it. But now they're starting to want to, instead of go horizontally, they're starting to want to go vertically because it takes up less room, and so on. Instead of having a 50-foot table there, you've still got a 12-foot table, but you've got 100 feet of plate stacked up to the ceiling where it just shuttles it in and out. And we're really starting to see now I don't want to say a great demand for it, but our customers are starting to ask about it. They're starting to inquire more about it. And it's something that we've got, I don't want to say on the back burner. It's actually one of the things on the forefront of AKS because of that demand. And we try to stay ahead of the curve, if you will. So we hear our customers asking, we'd really like to see this automated in a sense. And so we're immediately on it. We're immediately talking to our partners and the people we work with and our engineering team and all of that to provide those solutions to the customers who truly need it. And some people just think like, oh, they hear I want automated plate loading. And then some of them we have to say, well, pump the brakes a little bit. This is what it means. And this is what it entails, because automation can sometimes be more it could be the same, if not more than the table itself, because you've got a massive piece of equipment that it operates the same. It's just not cutting the plate, but that's a lot of moving parts and a lot of equipment to get those plates off and back and in. And it can add significant cost to some people. And if they only have a need where their volume doesn't call for that, they aren't so busy that they don't have time to be offloading plates like that. That's the guy that we see asking for the automation. And those customers are the reason that we're developing that now and working on the automated plate loading and offloading and things like that. That's coming soon. Honestly, we've got some what's the word I'm looking for? Some I don't want to say proprietary, but like preliminary things that we've done.
You got some things in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's been preliminary things, and we've tested some stuff, and it's you'll see it soon. I can tell you that much.
Yep. That's good. And that sort of leads me into my next section of questions here for you. Like, what are you seeing in the CNC plasma market right now? How do you see manufacturing evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, especially with the plasma, automation, robotics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. Automation is a big one. And the reason the reason that I'm saying it's coming soon is we could easily go out and just purchase from another company like an automated plate loading system, but that's not how AKS does things. We want to be self-reliant. We want to be able to support it our own. We don't want to send you to another company. We want you to come to us for all your needs, and we want to be able to support you because again, anybody can sell you that stuff. It's how you support it. So that's the reason that I keep saying it, it's coming soon, because AKS is developing our own features, our own ideas. And that is the part of the future that I'm seeing a little bit of uptick in that, the automations portion of it. But really what I see a lot of is the need for 5 and 6 axis. So tube and bevel and pipe and that kind of stuff. A lot of that is starting to realize, like, if you're welding plates together and you're not plasma cutting them with a bevel head, you need to start doing it on a high definition table, because I've made this statement for 10 years. over 10 years. Even when during my service tech years, I would go in to do bevel head training, 5-axis training, and I'd look the guys in their face and I'd say, the first people that are going to say you should have did this 10 years ago are going to be your welders, because they're going to pull that part right out of the plate. You're going to hand them the part. They don't have to grind it. They don't have to prep it. They don't have to knock slag off of it. Now your welders are being paid to do what you hired them to do, which is weld, and they're not spending 50% of their time cleaning up parts, cleaning up bevel, putting their own bevels on, putting their own lands on, cleaning all that stuff up. The future is right there, because especially with a lot of companies starting to get into robotic welding, that comes with, you need a quality part for your robotic welder. You can't just slap any old part up there that hasn't been prepped properly, because that robot welder doesn't have the wherewithal that a human does to know, like, I have to clean this, I have to prep this. And you're going to take the parts off of an AKS 5-axis, 6-axis table, whatever it may be, and you're going to put it over on your robotic welder and your jig and fixtures, and you're just going to set it in there. And with no other work, you're just going to press go on your robot after it's been set up, and it's just going to run right along. You're going to pull that finished product off, that finished part rather, take your next piece's parts and load it up. And instead of sitting there, and you don't see grinders going like this all day,
Look,
7.
man, I'm telling you, I went to trade school and I did basic mechanical engineering trade, got my welding certs.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I'm certified. I'm going to be welding crazy. No.
Yeah.
I spent most of my first few months just grinding bevels on plates, on I-beams and that, just to weld them all up, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm yeah, because we didn't have a beveler in those days.
And back then it was, you'd use like an oxy fuel or something, and you'd put it on a track torch. And even then it's like slow. If you don't have it set just right, it ruins the part. You've got massive slag on the underside that you still have to clean off with that oxy track torch. And that's where I started. Even way back when I was a welder, we were doing that stuff. And when you can just say, okay, I want this exact degree and this exact size land on this side of the part, and you literally go over and you press start on the machine, on the plasma, and it just cuts it out, and you pull it out, and you're like, I love this. I love this. And you hand it to the welder, and he's looking at it, and he looks at everybody else. He goes, why didn't we do this sooner? Why did we not do this sooner?
Yeah,
that has a
reckon.
ripple effect through your shop, where it's like, not only does it save you time for your welders, but you're paying a microscopic amount compared to what you were on your abrasives and your consumables in that sense, like grinding discs and flapper wheels and all that stuff. You start to buy considerably less of it, because with a high definition 5-axis plasma, it takes away the need to do all that prep and cleaning. And that's where the future is kind of leaning, especially with the robotics. That's why I keep saying that. People just want to take a part, they want to put it on the robot, and they want to weld it. They don't want that in-between time where you have to take it out of the plasma, you got to clean it up, you got to grind it, you got to chip the slag off of it, then you got to put it over in the welder. Maybe you took too much off with your grinding wheel, and now it's out of spec, and your weld isn't as good as it should be after the robotic welder. And that's where the precision of an AKS table and 5-axis and the cleanliness and all that comes into play. That's where I really see the future going. Especially with the heavier plate. The heavier plate, and you do it for a fraction of the cost that other cutting capacities, if you will, do it. So plasma is your most affordable way to get a product or a part, if you will, that can go right from the table, right after cutting, right into welding with no secondary work. And I should be, to be honest, I mean, there is going to be some materials and some thicknesses that, it's just physics of it. It's whether it's cut on a plasma, an oxyfuel, or even a laser, you're going to have a little bit of cleanup that you have to do. But in general, the guys that are using this equipment and the thicknesses like inch and a half and down from there, they could just pull that part out and weld on it. So that's where we're trying to teach the consumer and the customer base and the industry that you can take a part right out of the table nowadays and weld on it. You don't need to prep it.
Yeah. Hey, this one might be for Chris too. So if you want to pass on this question, I totally get it, right? Or Kent or them,
Sure.
But
I'll give it a shot though.
how and I guess it just popped in here, this question, right? How are rising material costs, supply chain issues affecting your side of the business? I know, look, AKS is American made. It's made in Ohio.
Yep.
And I actually drove through there a few weeks ago when I was up in Chicago. My youngest son lives in Chicago now, so I come down here. And just a timeout. Thanks to my youngest son, I got this all set up. Okay, so without him, I'd be lost. So I've been trying to get advice from other people.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
I'm growing in my age. So, but back to the question with the material and that, everything's made in the US.
Yep.
The steel. I know, well, we're using the plasma doesn't have much aluminum or stainless in it at all, really, does it?
But actually, it has quite a bit of aluminum to it. Yeah. So our plasmas are custom. We have a custom extruded bridge, and that's aluminum. And the side are also aluminum. And those are all we water. I like to kind of brag that like the AccuCuts and stuff, they build themselves. We use an AccuCut to cut the parts to build AccuCuts. And we
just like Transformers.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And so we do that because of the weight on the bridge and the gantry. Our unitized is all our unit. I should say this: our unitized AccuCut, that bridge and side housings and everything is 100% aluminum. There is no steel in it, and we do that for two reasons. One, durability and heat absorption. Aluminum absorbs heat and dissipates it very quickly. And two, the weight of it. Because of that light aluminum bridge, it can rip around very fast. And we use a direct drive system with no belts, no springs, none of that stuff. It's direct drive, helical rack and pinion. And that's where our claim to fame kind of comes into, is our tolerance and our cut quality. Again, it goes back to what I was saying. A torch doesn't do anything if it's not moving. And so you tie a hypertherm torch with AKS motion, which is what we're known for, and that's what provides us and gives us such really tight tolerances. On our systems, you can move those bridges by 1,000th of an inch if you want. And when we go to teach you, if say you buy a 5-axis, if that piece of plate that your part, say it's a 5-inch by 5-inch square, and we use dial calipers to measure it, and say it's 30 thousandths over size, our system is such tight tolerances to it that we can go in and pull out that 30 thousandths to where it now measures exactly 5.000. So that's on the aluminum side, things like that. But that's the aluminum portion of the AccuCut, is the bridge. The entire body is a 3/8 tubular chassis steel frame, and it weighs a ton. And the reason we do it is because we want these to last for 30 years, and we want the tolerance to stay for the life of the machine. So these aren't machines that the bearing rail and gear rack weighs. They're not milled and then put on the machine. That's not how we do it. We fully fit and fully weld the table 100%, even our big, massive 10-foot wide AccuCuts. And then after they're fully welded and fully prepped, we put them into a massive gantry mill, and we mill that table from front to back. And that's what allows us to maintain such a super high tolerance, is they're milled after the fact. So
they're all machined in place.
100% right. It's all machined. It's 100% machined table. And that milled machined table is what provides us such high accuracy, such super high tolerance. And that's a large reason that is the main reason people still have AKSs 20, even 30 years later. It's the build quality of it. 6x12 AccuCut system, just a basic system, is going to be well over 12,000 pounds after everything's all said and done. It is an absolute monster of a table. So
yeah, because I remember, the gantry is pretty strong, because I was quite amazed when I was looking at buying plasmas years ago, and I'm probably I can't even remember. It was more than 10 years, I'd say, if not 15, more than 15 years ago. But looking at plasmas, I'm quite surprised, because every now and then I'd like to have a drill, and there's a lot of gantries out there on some machines that they can't handle the torque of a drill on their gantry. Right. And I knew that from years ago. So I've been around different machines, and that's why. And when you talk to some people, they'll say, "Oh, yeah, nah, we don't offer drills."
Right.
So
we offer the drill, and we offer quite a bit. We offer most of the bells and whistles when it comes to that kind of stuff. But that starts to get into a very specialized customer base and things like that. Most people are buying their plasma because they need to cut parts out, and they need to cut parts out fast, and they want to cut them out the most affordable way. But they don't want low tolerance. They want high tolerance to be able to put the two pieces together, like I keep saying, and just weld them and have them come out a finished product. That's what they're doing. So, I mean, we've kind of went off on a little tangent, but in terms of aluminum and steel pricing and increases on our machine, while it affects us all here, it's not as bad for us as you might think. We're very, I mean, we've been in business. AKS has been in business for 115 years. We're on
that's a long time.
Yeah, we're in the fourth generation, family owned. It's been family owned since, for 115 years. And we have developed extreme partnerships, very close partnerships with everybody. And as you well know, Cleveland's a steel city. It's one of the nicknames for it. You have downtown area that is called Steel City. We have a steel mill there. And because of all that, we're not actually doing too bad on steel costs and aluminum costs and things like that, because we have such a long history with the companies that we do work with on that side of the business. And so while it affects us maybe a little bit, maybe an extra $1 or $2 here and there, it's not like, oh my gosh, our prices are so much higher now due to steel costs and things like that. So we do pretty well, at least right now. We don't know where the future is going to take us. We have no idea. Nobody does. But right now, and for the last 115 years, we've been doing pretty all right.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, guys, this is coming down to advice and final thoughts. And, I'm going to ask Dan now. Dan, your wife has done all the hard work. And I know you're finally getting some sleep, but everybody, congratulations to Dan and his wife. They've got their first baby.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
And my last baby has just moved out of the house. So
I'm late to the game. I'm late to the game, but that's all right. We're making it work. I don't like to think about how old I'll be when he graduates high school. So it's like I got to stay fit. I got to stay active. So I can keep up.
So here's some fun stuff. What's your favorite activity to do? Well, it's probably changed because it's now, I don't know, it could be diapers, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite activity to do on a Saturday just to get out and unplug?
Absolutely. Two things. I'm a big car guy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a big car guy. So if it's not going somewhere and meeting the group that I'm a part of for like cars and coffee and things like that. And just kind of parking a nice clean car and hanging out with my friends and looking at all the other guys who are car guys and they're all their vehicles. I'm actually very much into I guess I'd say like outdoor range training, shooting, rifle training and pistol training and things like that. I absolutely love it. I like to say I'm an outdoorsman. I like fishing. I like hunting. I like being outside, all that stuff. I live in Florida, so I like to say, I'm trying to be as much of a Florida man as I can be out there with the alligators and the fish and all that stuff and be on the water and go on my friends' boats and go fishing and all that kind of stuff. And that's me. But when it comes to my family, our favorite thing to do is literally go to the theme parks that we live by. We are theme park junkies. And when we're able to take our brand new little boy, that's one of the things we look forward to the most, is being able to take him and have him grow up with it, because it was a dream of my wife and I to be able to do that whenever we felt like it. So those are my typical Saturdays is if I'm not changing diapers, like you said, I'm either fishing or shooting guns or changing diapers, I guess. That's it.
Well, hey, Dan, I'd like to thank you. You've been a good friend and good to work with as well. And I appreciate your wife, because, you're off baby duty right now. So actually,
for the last hour or so, I've been free. I know as soon as I'm off here, though, she's gonna be like, "What's for dinner?"
Yeah.
Cooking dinner.
So, but anyway, guys, I'd like to say thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you get a lot out of this podcast. My whole goal is to connect everyone. I am just about helping. I want everybody to learn. I want young kids that are looking for something. This industry is an amazing industry. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I left high school and I've been in this industry for over 30 years, and I'm still learning every single day. And I'm almost 21.
Knowledge is power, or knowledge is power. So
it is.
The more you learn, the more power you obtain, and that's absolutely true.
Yep, I totally agree. And thanks for your time, Dan. And remember, Sheet Metal Unleashed, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, and you can watch it on YouTube as well, or you can just listen. So
make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Don't miss anything from Dean here. He's it's an honor to be the first guest, Dean. I appreciate you thinking of me and AKS, and I truly thank you for the opportunity to be here.
No problem. It's amazing, but there's probably only about 4 to 5 podcasts around sheet metal and fabrication. Bring it all in and tie it all in together, right? So good things are coming. And actually, I'll let you go, Dan, and I'll see you and chat to you in a bit.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dean. Have a great one.
Thank you. So, guys, anyway, that was Dan. I hope you had a great time. I know we run a little bit over today, but also make sure you check out our YouTube. Everything's on there, and I enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing some more podcasts. Okay, we've got shops that we're going to be having on the podcast and others coming on the podcast. I'm looking forward to having Mitsubishi on here as well. And, we got 2 more guests this week I'm doing a podcast with. But our podcast should be released every Friday and Monday, but this one will probably be released tomorrow. So thank you for listening.